是警察，你在谈哪找安全感？
劫持人质，重罪。你们的计划真不错，但我可不是什么小毛贼。
Let's be honest with each other for a second. You were never just watching Jackie Chan, you were studying him. Every time he grabbed a ladder, a shopping cart, a wooden bench, or a random guy's jacket to swing himself over a fence, your brain was doing the math trying to figure out if you could pull that off in your backyard. You could not. Nobody could. But that never stopped anyone from trying. Jackie Chan did something no other action star in history ever managed to do with the same level of consistency. He made you laugh until your stomach hurt, and then he made your jaw drop, sometimes in the exact same 3-second window. That is not a skill you can learn in film school. That is something closer to a superpower. We are not talking today about his most bone-crushing fights, or his most insane near-death stunts. Today we are going inside the comedy, the slapstick, the chaos. The moments where Jackie turned a kitchen, a construction site, a mall food court, or a living room full of sleeping kids into the greatest physical comedy stage the action genre has ever seen. 7 films. 7 chapters in the story of a man who understood that laughter and action are not opposites. They are the same punch delivered at exactly the right angle. And trust me, one entry on this list is going to surprise you. It is a film most people either forgot completely or never gave a fair shot, and it contains one of the most genuinely funny action sequences Jackie ever filmed. You are going to want to stick around for that one. This is the top 7 funniest moments in Jackie Chan movies, when martial arts met slapstick, and the whole world could not stop smiling.
Mr. Nice Guy. But if you make the mistake
I don't even know her.
of getting him mad, you'd better get out of his way. Now, Jackie Chan proves to the world, nice guys finish first.
If there is one Jackie Chan film from the late 90s that people criminally underrate when they talk about his comedy timing, it is this one. Mr. Nice Guy hit theaters in 1997, shot entirely in Melbourne, Australia, and from the opening scene to the final act, it operates like a masterclass in controlled chaos, wrapped inside a cooking show gone catastrophically wrong. Jackie plays a celebrity chef named Jackie, which is either the laziest character naming in Hong Kong cinema history, or the most brilliantly self-aware joke in his entire filmography, and honestly, it might be both. The setup is absurdly simple. He accidentally gets a videotape that a journalist filmed of a drug deal, and suddenly every criminal in Melbourne is chasing a man who just wants to finish his pasta segment. The comedy comes from the collision between Jackie's cheerful domesticity and the absolute mayhem surrounding him. He fights off thugs in a kitchen using pots, ladles, a rotating fan, and at one point a tray of fresh dough that lands on a villain's face with a sound effect. So perfect, it feels like the film itself is winking at you. The standout moment that belongs in any slapstick hall of fame is the construction site chase sequence. Jackie is being pursued through an active worksite, and instead of running in a straight line like a normal person, he turns every piece of scaffolding, every plank, every wheelbarrow into a prop. The choreography is so dense and so fast that on first viewing you almost miss half of what is happening. The second viewing is when it hits you that this man planned every single stumble, every near miss, every accidental tool to the face, with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. Mr. Nice Guy eventually faded from conversation, partly because Rush Hour arrived the following year and rewrote the rules for Jackie's Western career, and also because this film never quite got the wide theatrical release it deserved in North America, but it streams easily today, and if you go back to it now with fresh eyes, you will wonder how it ever got left off anyone's best of list. The slapstick here is not accidental, it is architecture. If Mr. Nice Guy is the blueprint for Jackie's comedy in a Western setting, then our next entry goes back to where it all began, to a time before international co-productions, before Hollywood contracts, back when Jackie was a young man with a wooden stick, a silent face, and absolutely nothing to prove yet.
"凭你想你是新入门的少林弟子吧？
哎，你哑巴，连力气都比别人小。教你挡木人像的本事。你学艺未精，竟敢擅考木人像！你！这妖孽练成魔功，點能夠毀於本自叛徒手上
You can't beat them just by yourself.
(1976). Jackie Chan was 22 years old and had not yet found the formula that would make him a global icon. Shaolin Wooden Men is fascinating for exactly that reason. It is a film where Jackie plays a mute, not a talkative hero with a punchline ready, not the grinning everyman who trips over himself and lands perfectly, a silent monk in training who communicates entirely through expression and movement. And somehow, that constraint is what makes the comedy in this film so quietly devastating. The premise follows a young student at a Shaolin temple who cannot speak and trains obsessively to avenge his father's death. The wooden men of the title are mechanical training dummies in a gauntlet. The monks must survive to graduate. Here's the thing about that sequence. It plays like Buster Keaton designed an obstacle course and then handed the keys to a 22-year-old kid who had been training in the Peking opera system since he was 7. The physical gags are built entirely from body language, from timing, from the gap between what you expect to happen and what actually does. Without a single word of dialogue, Jackie communicates confusion, determination, embarrassment, and triumph inside the same 2-minute stretch. The behind-the-scenes story worth knowing is that Jackie was still figuring out his screen persona at this point. This was not yet the Jackie Chan of Police Story or Drunken Master. This was a young actor genuinely discovering that his greatest comedic weapon was not a joke but a reaction. The way his shoulders drop, the way he glances sideways before something goes wrong, the half-second pause before the chaos begins. Shaolin Wooden Men never became a classic in the Western market, but it is the missing link in understanding how Jackie Chan went from a promising young fighter to the most entertaining physical comedian the action genre has ever produced. Watching it now feels like finding a musician's first demo tape recorded in a garage before they became famous, rough around the edges, but unmistakably brilliant. From Jackie's silent early days, we jump forward 4 decades to a film where he is very much talking road, tripping across Russia, and partnered with a man who could not be more different from him if someone had designed the contrast deliberately.
We can do this the hard way.
You got the wrong guy!
Cut a lunch! Who's asking?
English? Hong Kong!
There's something you should know. They don't want me because I stole something.
There's something I saw.
They want me because that woman died in my arms. If I go back with you, they're gonna kill me.
I don't care. I think he's Mongolia.
He wants us to have a drink with them.
You got to go.
One drink.
When?
One.
Who knows some good Mongolian drinking games?
Here's the thing about Skip Trace that almost nobody gives it credit for. It understands exactly what it is. It is a buddy road trip comedy set against the backdrop of Mongolia, Siberia, and rural China. And it leans into the slapstick so hard and so cheerfully that resisting it feels like refusing a slice of birthday cake at a party. Jackie plays a Hong Kong detective, chasing a Western con man played by Johnny Knoxville. And the chemistry between them works precisely because Knoxville plays absolutely none of it straight. The comedy in Skip Trace is loud, physical, and completely committed. There is a sequence involving a traditional village celebration, a barrel of local liquor, and an impromptu performance of Adele's Rolling in the Deep that should not work at all, and yet lands as one of the most genuinely funny scenes Jackie has filmed in the last 10 years. Jackie's face throughout that scene is the performance. He is embarrassed, reluctant, then helplessly swept up in it, and by the end he is belting it out with the whole village, while Knoxville grins like he planned this from the beginning. What makes Skip Trace interesting as a comedy vehicle is that Jackie at 62 years old is still doing the physical work himself. He is not moving at the same speed he did in 1985, and the film is smart enough not to pretend otherwise. Instead, the comedy shifts toward reaction and situation, toward Jackie's increasingly exasperated face, as Knoxville's character creates new disasters at every stop. It is a different kind of slapstick than his earlier films, but it is still slapstick. The tool just changed from his legs to his eyes. Skip Trace came and went quickly at the box office outside of China, where it was a significant hit, and Western audiences mostly missed it. That is their loss. As a late-career comedy from a man who earned the right to slow down but refuses to, it is warmer and funnier than it has any right to be. From Jackie navigating a Russian road trip to Jackie navigating a house full of children, which turns out to be equally dangerous. But he went into The Spy Next Door expecting greatness. That is part of what makes it work. Released in 2010, this is Jackie Chan doing a direct play on the Vin Diesel babysitting formula from The Pacifier, and the film knows it and does not care. Jackie plays a retired CIA operative named Bob Ho, who is dating the woman next door and volunteers to watch her 3 kids for a weekend, while she handles a family emergency. Naturally, one of the kids downloads a classified Russian file by accident, and suddenly Bob's cover is blown, and his quiet suburban weekend becomes an action comedy obstacle course. The slapstick here lives almost entirely in the gap between Bob's lethal competence and his complete helplessness in front of children. He can disarm a man with a wok lid from across the room, but he cannot get a 9-year-old to eat breakfast. He can survive a 3-on-1 ambush in a parking garage, but he short-circuits completely when a toddler starts crying in a grocery store. That contrast is the engine of every comedic beat in the film, and Jackie plays it with genuine warmth rather than exasperation. There is a kitchen fight sequence midway through the film that deliberately callbacks the logic of his older Hong Kong work, using every domestic item in the room as a weapon, and a prop simultaneously: blender, dish towel, refrigerator door, a bowl of something that was definitely supposed to be dinner. The kids watch from the doorway with the expressions of people who have officially seen too much. And it is funny every time. The Spy Next Door is not a great film, but as a delivery mechanism for Jackie Chan doing physical comedy in a domestic setting while maintaining total dignity, it punches well above its weight. And the fact that the kids are genuinely charming rather than annoying makes the whole thing go down easy. From suburban chaos to a jail cell in Taiwan, things are about to get considerably darker in tone, but not in comedy.
你爸是警察，你在他那找安全感。劫持人质，重罪。 企划真不错，但我可不是什么小毛仔。
This one requires a small asterisk because Police Story 2013, also released under the title New Police Story in some markets, is a significantly more serious film than anything else on this list. It is moody, it is grounded, and it has genuine dramatic weight that Jackie had not leaned into this openly since Crime Story back in 1993. But the reason it earns a spot on a slapstick list is one specific sequence in the first act that is so perfectly constructed and so completely at odds with the film's overall tone that it almost feels like it wandered in from a different movie. Jackie plays a senior police detective, summoned to a nightclub where his daughter's boyfriend is holding hostages. Before the tension escalates, there is an extended sequence where Jackie's character, clearly out of his element, in a venue full of young people and loud music, navigates the crowd, the coat check, the bartender, and a series of misunderstandings involving a cocktail he did not order. It is quiet comedy, no big swings, just a man in his late 50s being gently and repeatedly confused by a world that moved on without him. And Jackie plays every beat of it with the kind of self-deprecating timing that only someone completely secure in their own legend can pull off. The film was a significant success in China, and largely ignored in the West, which is a pattern by this point in his career that Jackie has made peace with. But for fans who tracked down Police Story 2013, that opening sequence is a small treasure. It is Jackie acknowledging his age, his legacy, and his irrelevance in modern nightlife culture, and finding it genuinely funny rather than painful. From a Taiwan nightclub to the deserts of ancient Rome, the next entry takes Jackie further from Hong Kong than he has ever been, in every possible sense. It is an enormous, expensive, historically ambitious film that asks you to believe that Jackie Chan commanded a Roman legion in 36 BC, while John Cusack played a Roman general, and Adrian Brody played the villain. It is exactly as spectacular and strange as that sentence implies, and it should not have any comedy in it whatsoever. And yet, there is a recurring series of scenes throughout Dragon Blade, where Jackie's character Huo attempts to broker peace between his Silk Road garrison and the Roman soldiers by organizing joint construction projects, and what can only be described as the ancient world's most enthusiastic team building exercise. The Romans and the Chinese soldiers, who minutes ago were trying to kill each other, are now competing to see who can haul the most stone blocks, while Jackie mediates with the energy of a camp counselor who has had too much coffee. It is genuinely funny in the way that only completely earnest, po-faced humor can be. The film has no idea it is being comedic, which makes it funnier. Jackie has said in interviews that Dragon Blade was one of his most personally meaningful projects because of its message about cultural exchange and peaceful coexistence. He meant every word of that sincerely. The comedy is entirely unintentional and entirely real. Dragon Blade disappeared quickly outside the Chinese market despite its massive budget, but it lives on as one of the more genuinely bizarre entries in Jackie's filmography. A film that is simultaneously too serious and too ridiculous, and lands in a sweet spot that almost works. And now for the entry that surprised everyone, including people who thought they had seen every notable Jackie Chan film ever made.
In the year of the snake, a child shall be chosen, and at his touch, the reborn shall be endowed with extraordinary supernatural powers.
A hidden treasure, protected by a young guardian, stolen.
Bring me the boy.
By a master of evil, and pursued by an unlikely hero.
Inspector Eddie Yang.
Satisfied? You've only been here 5 minutes.
Now, an ordinary detective.
I think this belongs to you. Half for me.
Has been given extraordinary powers.
Whew. He's still moving, speaking, thinking, fighting. Annoying.
Sorry.
This summer, follow the fight and find.
Run for your lives.
Jackie Chan.
The Medallion from 2003 is not a good film by conventional standards. The plot involves a magical Celtic medallion that grants immortality, a supernatural child, an Interpol task force, and a villain whose motivations shift at least 3 times across 90 minutes. None of that matters. What matters is that the Medallion contains some of the most committed physical comedy Jackie delivered in the 2000s, and virtually no one talks about it. The standout sequence involves Jackie's character coming back from the dead with supernatural strength and speed, and then immediately discovering all the social complications of being immortal, while still having to file police reports. The bureaucratic comedy that follows, an invincible man sitting across from a confused desk sergeant, trying to explain why he has no pulse, is the kind of absurdist character work that most action films would never attempt. Jackie plays it completely straight, which is exactly the right choice. There is also a fight sequence in a restaurant kitchen that deliberately evokes his older Hong Kong work, complete with improvised props, ricocheting cookware, and a running gag involving a soup ladle that pays off twice, once immediately and once 20 minutes later when you have almost forgotten about it. That kind of structural comedy, the setup, and delayed payoff, is harder to execute than it looks, and the fact that it lands in a film this chaotic is a genuine achievement. The Medallion bombed at the Western box office and got mediocre reviews, and it deserved neither outcome. As a piece of throwback slapstick comedy embedded inside a wildly overcrowded supernatural action plot, it is far more fun than its reputation suggests. Go find it on a streaming service, give it 45 minutes, and see if you are not smiling by the time that Soup Ladle comes back around. Here is what all 7 of these films have in common. And it is not the fight choreography, or the production budgets, or the box office numbers. It is the face. Jackie Chan's face in the middle of chaos is unlike any other face in cinema history. When something goes wrong, and something always goes wrong, that face does not panic, it calculates. There is a fraction of a second where you can see the gears turning, and then the solution arrives, usually involving whatever object is closest, and the most creative possible application of it. That is the slapstick tradition Jackie inherited from Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd and Charlie Chaplin, and then took somewhere entirely his own by adding 2 decades of martial arts training to the equation. Physical comedy is hard. Physical comedy while throwing a spinning kick and catching yourself on a drain pipe is something else entirely. It is something that existed for about 30 years in one man's career, and will likely never exist in quite that form again. So here's the question for the comments. Which Jackie Chan comedy moment made you rewind the tape? Not the scariest stunt, not the biggest fight. The moment that made you laugh out loud and then immediately rewind to watch again. Was it something from this list, or something we did not cover today? Leave it below, because there are 100 correct answers, and we want to hear all of them. If you have been watching, and this is your first time here, hit subscribe and you will not miss what is coming next. We are staying in the nostalgia lane, and the next video is going to dig into a corner of action cinema that almost nobody covers anymore. The era of Hong Kong heroic bloodshed films from the late 80s. The John Woo blueprint that changed action filmmaking forever and inspired everything from The Matrix to every slow-motion dove shot you have ever rolled your eyes at. That one is going to be worth the wait. Like the video. If you grew up with these films, subscribe if you want to keep going. And if you think we left off the single most important Jackie Chan comedy moment in history, prove it in the comments. We will read everyone.